Hi, the market looks pretty bleak recently. Bitcoin is going down, Ethereum is going down, but RavenCoin is not. RavenCoin is standing strong. And so in this video, we're going to look at RVN. What is it good for? Why is it rallying? And probably most importantly, is this likely to continue? What's the long-term performance versus, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum? But first things first, this is what I am talking about. Recently, a lot of crypto is suffering. Bitcoin is down 13%, Ethereum 14%. If we sort this by the last 7 days, we can see RavenCoin is among the top performers. So that's where we are at, currently at almost 12 cents. RVN has a market rank of 81, and so the asset has a market cap of approximately 1.2 billion. Now, most people, when they look at RavenCoin, they mainly associate stock trading with it. So a blockchain that might enable in the future to trade stocks directly or to trade representations of those stocks. But when you look into the white paper, there's actually more to it. RavenCoin is also planning to represent, for example, precious metals, energy credits, or simply gift cards or airline miles. So securities are only one potential use case, and probably in terms of regulation also the toughest to execute on, right? That's the area where the SEC really doesn't want any crypto project to be active in. So really, you're probably rather betting on the other use cases getting traction. Now in this video, we're going to do technical analysis as usual, and we will not just look at the US dollar chart, that's this over here. We will also look at the chart relative to Bitcoin. So how is RavenCoin performing versus Bitcoin? And then we've got the RavenCoin price divided by the Ethereum price. Because when you look at altcoins, you always want to see how much can you outperform when you take on more risk. Because that's in the end the game, right? You take on more risk with an altcoin. The market dominance of RavenCoin is 0.06%. The market dominance for comparison of Ethereum is 20%, or of Bitcoin is 40%. So RavenCoin is way, way smaller. You're taking on more risk. And so you want to get this additional risk compensated, right? That's why we are looking at relative valuations. Now, here's the reason for this recent outperformance. It is that RavenCoin is soon to halve again. So RavenCoin is a fork of Bitcoin. It's based on proof of work, not proof of stake. And so the reward of miners that receive the coin for putting in their computing power, that reward will be cut in half in approximately 4 days. And in anticipation of that halving, we see this recent rally over here. At the peak, this was a rally of 67%. Right now, we are looking at approximately 49%. Now, can this continue? Possibly, right? Because we haven't halved yet. This excitement might potentially even accelerate just up to the event. But once it does happen, there's very often this effect of buy the rumor, sell the news, right? Once the halving is done, then at least some people, they might move on to the next altcoin. And so what you always want to look at is trading volume. You want to look at how much attention do we currently have on a cryptocurrency. And you want to especially pay attention to this for very small altcoins, because those are impacted by these short-term attention swings the most. Here, look at this. This is trading volume. In February of last year, it shot up and with it the price. There's some kind of correlation between trading volume and price. When the trading volume goes back down again, the price also tends to decline. So we've got these short-term rallies, and they always coincide with high trading volume. You don't want to necessarily buy when trading volume is very, very high. And when we look at RavenCoin recently, of course, we also have somewhat of an increased trading volume, but we have seen higher levels before. So this could potentially mean that we might see another leg up. But you're really dependent on this accelerating again, right? If trading volume continues to fall, the price is very likely to normalize again. And it might even go down by like around 30% or so to the level where it used to trade before. So what about holding RavenCoin over the very long term? What about investing into this for several years? And instead of buying Bitcoin or Ethereum, buying the story of RavenCoin that in the end we will see outperformance. So this is what historically happened. This is now RavenCoin divided by Bitcoin. And we can see these temporary sidewards trading ranges from time to time, right? Where we have certain supports and resistances. Same is happening recently. But in the end, there is a lot of volatility. If you're wondering how much of a move was this within those approximately 2 years, this was a 97.7% underperformance versus Bitcoin. So you basically lost all your money had you held RavenCoin during this time period. So this is incredibly volatile. You have to time the market. And if you do this right, you can make a 10x. If you don't make it right, you can definitely get hurt massively. Now, this is where risk to reward comes into play, right? If you're just looking at this purely from the technical analysis perspective, right? You don't look at this in terms of fundamentals, in terms of what the team is doing, things like that. If you just look at this with a cold, analytical, objective lens, then there is no real outperformance. This is Ravencoin versus Ethereum. And since the very beginning of this chart, we basically had the same performance to Ethereum, right? We had short-term rallies, right? Like 1 year rallies where we outperformed by 10x, then 2-year bear markets where we underperformed 98%, and then again, these short-term rallies. And that's the problem, right? There seem to be these temporary attention-driven pumps. And when there is no attention, there's simply a sell-off. You could almost argue that, I'm not saying this is happening, but in terms of the chart structure, one might argue that we have this pump and dump going on, right? These kind of movements we also see in Dogecoin, for example, where a lot of attention, maybe very positive news, they pump up the price, and if nothing follows, then people lose confidence and they start selling off. So very quick movements to the upside, slow movements to the downside, pump and dump. So this is no judgment on the fundamental story of Ravencoin. This is simply just an observation of how the chart here behaves. And given that observation, I think it makes a lot of sense that in case you do decide to jump on this, in case you do think that this hype around the halving might continue, in that case, it makes sense to really manage your stop loss, to really exit once momentum turns around. Because we can see when it does pump, the short-term moves to the down, they are not very significant, right? The volatility during those massive rallies is rather small. This is maybe a 20% move, but this is really from like the top within a day to the bottom of the next day. But if you just look at this by end of day prices, this is pretty much the perfect definition of a straight line up. And so that's how you can time this, right? You can very quickly exit once that move doesn't continue anymore. You can easily exit over here because the excitement wears down. And that's how I would time this if I'd be interested in trading Ravencoin short term. If you're buying, simply be prepared to exit quickly in case momentum turns around. Don't wait for the price to drop 20, 30, 40% and then hold onto the bags and potentially lose 98%. So that's how I see it, simply by looking at the charts. I don't hold this for the long term because I don't see that the additional risk gets compensated for yet. And I personally also don't like to make these short-term trades, but that's just a personal thing. I am pretty risk averse. But if you're an active trader, if you're looking for the next wave, then this might very well be worth it. How high can it go? It's very hard to say, right? These pumps, they can be 10x or they can only be 2x, for example. So you really have to watch the market closely and react quickly to whatever happens, right? Simply follow the move, and in case it turns around, be one of the first to exit. If you enjoyed this video, please give this a like. It will help the channel grow. And if you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe as well. I publish videos regularly. You might also want to check out the premium membership. That's at thebitcoinstrategy.com, link in the video description. We've got daily market updates around Bitcoin, around Ethereum. There's also a private chat where you can ask me any questions to maybe look at your favorite altcoin. And of course, there's exclusive content for technical analysis or portfolio management. Last but not least, we've also got a public Telegram channel, the Bitcoin Strategy channel. Simply search for Bitcoin Strategy channel within the Telegram app. We are currently around 1,500 people. See you next time. Bye-bye.